Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Coach RJ, and I am the CEO and founder of the Impact You movement. And man, I am so excited. It is Wednesday morning, and I try to jump on every Wednesday morning between 8 and 8:15 Eastern Standard Time to bring you what I like to call a moment of impact, which is really key to the success of this movement that we have been pushing for some time now. And really our goal is to educate, to encourage, and to empower people with the tools necessary so that they can live the best version of themselves. And I've really been on this mission for years now to not only motivate people, but to also challenge them in a fashion where they can actually apply what they hear, what they see, what they witness into their lives, and in an effort to help them live the best version of themselves. And really, that's why I jump on every Wednesday at this time. But that's also why I've created what I call a minute to impact you. That's 60 seconds of information that's designed, when you apply it correctly, to really change the trajectory of your life. So this morning, man, I've entitled this time of teaching, if you will, can you see it? That is the question I want to ask. Can you see it? And really, the genesis of this particular question that I'm posing to you this morning, and even I pose to myself, it comes because lately I have been watching a lot of Kobe Bryant videos, and he is arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I know everybody has this idea of Michael Jordan, which I love Michael Jordan. Also, LeBron James, which, he's dominating right now. But, Kobe Bryant, he is arguably one of the best. And I was watching several of his videos, and this happened, post his career. And he was talking about this Mamba mentality. And so they were asking him, what was the driving force? Like, what was it that got you up every day? What was it that pushed you to your limits? And one of the things that he said, and I thought this was very fascinating, he says, for me, it began with me having this mindset that I wanted to end my career when my basketball playing days were over with. I wanted to end it and leave a legacy that I was one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And so as he was answering the question, what he was saying was, so what drove him every day was waking up in the morning. What drove him to practice was waking up every morning with the mindset that he wanted to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And what he said was, he says, listen, man, that really was the vision for my life, for my basketball career, that I wanted to be I wanted to end my career being one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He said, so every day when he went to work out, that was what drove him. There were moments where he was tired, but what pushed him was wanting to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. That's what he worked at. That's what drove him. And one of the things that he said, and I thought this was interesting, he said, he admitted, he said, listen, man, when I started playing basketball and when I got in junior high and high school, I wasn't one of the most athletic guys. I wasn't one of the most skilled guys, but he kept working with the idea that when it was all said and done, he wanted to end his career as one of the greatest basketball players. And as I was listening to that, what came to mind for me, because some people, they can't really connect with, sports. That's not really their thing. But what really resonated with me with what he said was that he began with that vision in mind. And it took me back to my earlier days of sales. So I've been in sales and sales leadership for well back to those days where I was given a book, or I was given a challenge. Say, hey man, you need to read this book. There's a book by Stephen Covey, and the title of their book is called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the things that he says, in fact, it's habit number 2. He says, as it relates to your success, he says you have to begin with the end in mind. And so I'm tying, here it comes. I'm tying it together for you this morning. And so when I was thinking about Kobe Bryant, and I immediately thought about what Stephen Covey says, I thought to myself, that is one of the key elements that many of us are missing. And the reason why we cannot actually see our vision come to pass, it's because we're not beginning with the end in mind. We're not beginning with the end in mind. In other words, what he was simply saying was that whatever it is, you have to have a long-term view of blank. Like you can, whatever that long-term, whatever that is that you're wanting to accomplish, you can fill in the blanks. Whether it's a long-term view of your career, whether it's a long-term view of your relationship, long-term view of your finances, long-term view of your health, it really doesn't matter. You just have to have a long-term view of it. Whatever that it is, you can fill it in the blank, but you just have to have a long-term view of it. And this is the reason why many of us are not able. This is the reason why we're not getting where we're supposed to be going. We're not accomplishing the things that we wanted to set out to do, because we don't have a long-term view of it. I used to tell reps all the time, we used to do this exercise where, maybe a rep was saying, hey, I want to make $100,000. Okay, great. So your base salary is 50. And so that means you need to, over the course of these 12 months, you need to get a commission or some kind of bonus that equates to another $50,000. They're like, yeah, that's right. I'm like, okay, cool. So now we know what the goal is. Now we have to work backwards, which means if I want to get 100,000 and my base salary is 50, that means I need to have commissions and bonuses of 50,000. That means I need to average roughly, between $48,000 and $5,000 a month in order for me to get $4,800 a month, in order for me to get to where I'm trying to go. Correct? Yeah, that's it. So then we start working backwards. We start saying, okay, so that means you need to have how many sales? That means their sales need to average what amount? That means, okay, in order to get this many sales, that means you need to have how many phone calls? So we would work it backwards. And for many of us, this is it. We don't have a long-term view, and we can't see it materialize because we just don't have a view of it. We can't see it. So that's why I asked the question, can you see it? So what is it that's preventing us? And this is what I want to drop in your lap this morning. What is it that's preventing us from having a long-term view of whatever it is? Let me give you a couple of reasons, then we'll wrap up. Number one, I feel like this is probably one of the number one reasons why we don't have a long-term view of success, or long-term view of our career, or long-term view of success in, with our finances. It's because, number one, we're short-sighted. Yep, we operate with short-sightedness. So what does that mean? To be short-sighted means I'm unable to see things clearly unless they are close to my eyes. Let me say that again. To be short-sighted means I'm unable to see things clearly unless it's right in front of my eyes. And this, listen to me, this is why many of us don't have a long-term view of things in our eyes, because we are operating short-sightedly. What does that mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's what it means. It means that many of us are operating with a today mindset. Like we can't see beyond today. Now, granted, we're not God. We can't see tomorrow, but we're operating with a right now mindset. We're operating with a short-sightedness. And as a result, I'm gonna tell you this, as a result, there are so many people who are accumulating debt like never before, because they're operating with a short-sighted mindset. And as a result, they are not believing in what I like to call, and what has been coined, delayed gratification. And so because you're short-sighted, it means that the only thing you see is what's in front of you. You can't see beyond today, which means, I'm not trying to say that you're a visionary. I'm not trying to say that you have this ability to see tomorrow, but what I am saying is that you have to plan as if what I am striving to accomplish is going to take more than one day to get there. And so we're so short-sighted, which means we're not able to see clearly unless it's right in front of us. And what we're shooting for and what you should be striving for is not going to be something that's right in front of you. It's something that's going to take some work. It's going to take some effort. So not only do people not have a long-term view of success in areas, and they can't see clearly this idea of having a long-term view because they're short-sighted. Let me give you this other notion that I have. We can't see it not only because we're short-sighted, but we can't see it because we're operating with skewed sight. Short-sighted says, I can only see things that are right in front of my face. I can't see, that that it's going to take a little bit longer than today. I'm operating with a today mindset. But with a skewed sight, this is even more dangerous. Skewed sight says, what I'm seeing is causing me to have an inaccurate assessment of my situation. An inaccurate assessment of my situation. So how is my sight skewed? Oftentimes our sight is skewed. We operate with a skewed sight, primarily because we look at other people and we see their failures. And as a result of their failures, it's stifling us from moving forward. In other words, we're allowing the failures of other people to cause us to think that because they failed at getting it done in this particular area, that I'm going to fail. What do you mean? Just because you were raised in a home and nobody went to college and got a degree, now your sight for your career or for your educational pursuits has been skewed because you're saying to yourself, man, shoot, since nobody else did it, I'm not going to be able to do it myself. Because you see other people start businesses and they fail. Now you start thinking that if I start a business, I'm going to fail. Let me tell you something. You cannot operate with a skewed sight, because if you operate with a skewed sight, it's going to prevent you from seeing the long-term view of success. So I got to ask you as I wrap up, can you see it? Can you see yourself successful as a husband, as a father, as a community leader? Can you see it? Because at the end of the day, if you can't see it, you'll never be able to grasp it. Guys, it's been a wonderful day chatting with you. As you're moving throughout your day, plan accordingly. Put together plans. Look at what you're wanting to accomplish. And make sure that you've got a long-term view of whatever it is. And don't allow yourself to operate short-sightedly, and don't allow yourself to operate with skewed sight. And you guys have a great day. It's been another time of impacting you. Make it a great one. Take care. Bye.